Hello, I'm Katie from the Tech Team, and today's video is going to focus on what's new in OverDrive. Some of you may have already noticed that there are some magazines popping up in OverDrive now. This is due to a migration from another one of our digital resources, RB Digital. Eventually, we are going to have all of RB Digital's magazines and entertainment features, such as Acorn TV, available in OverDrive. This migration is scheduled to take place over the next couple of months and should be wrapped up by the end of March. Luckily, the magazine migration has already happened, so today I'm going to take a look at where you can find these magazines in OverDrive, how you can check them out, what their loan periods are, and we're also going to take a look at Libby, which is another app that you can use to access these magazines, unless you're a Kindle user, unfortunately. So let's dive in and take a look at what's new with OverDrive. Today I'm going to be showing you OverDrive as seen on an iPad. Do note that if you have an Android tablet or if you have a Kindle device, you'll also be able to access OverDrive through an app on one of those devices. I have mine organized. I'm going to go right here to my library apps and then tap on OverDrive. And you'll see this is, if you are a OverDrive user already, this is the normal landing page. I'm already logged in with my library card number, and it knows that I am a Charleston County Public Library user. At the top, it does have some newly added items, and you'll see that amongst the ebooks and whatnot, that one of the newly added items here is a magazine. And unfortunately, right now on the landing page for OverDrive, there is not a magazine category right off the bat. What we're going to do is go to our options over here in the upper right hand corner. And from here, I'm going to tap on subjects right underneath my account. I'm then giving the option to browse subjects, and it defaults to all formats. However, I want to go over here to magazines. I can see all of the titles, or if you'll notice here, there's all kinds of different categories that our magazines have been broken down into. If you're unsure, you can click on See All. That's going to load. It's going to default to showing me the first 24 out of over 3,200 results, and it automatically will sort by date added right here. But you do have some filters. So if you want to narrow this down a little bit, you have a bunch of different categories that you can filter it by. Some of these have kind of been collapsed, but you can change your audience. You can look through the different dates that they've been added the last couple of days, or maybe something that you want a little older. But what I found the most helpful down here is subject. So we have the most for tech and gaming. You'll see that we have over 402 titles. I'm going to view some more right here because there's all kinds of different subjects here for our magazines. And maybe I'm going to work on my health and fitness, and that's what the magazine I need to find. So I'm going to tap on health and fitness. You'll see that our over 3,000 results are now down to about 161. They're still sorted by date added, but again, I could change that if I wanted to. And now you'll see that you can browse through our titles just by tapping on the screen and kind of slowly scrolling down. We'll see if we have anything here. You know, they have everything from different workouts to yoga. Maybe yoga, actually. That's fairly recent, January, February 2021. I'm going to tap on it. I could borrow it instantly, but I want to see a little bit more information about it. So from here, you'll kind of get a little bit more information about Yoga Journal. You can read a sample right off the bat if you want to, kind of like if you were browsing in line at the grocery store. You can also look at older issues. That's kind of a cool thing about our magazines here. You can select another issue. You could go back to a particular issue that you know had an article in it that you were interested in, or if you're just wanting to read them all, you can absolutely do that. I'm going to click off just to the side of the screen here. One thing I do want to point out is, unlike our books that you will come across in OverDrive, magazines are always available. So there's no wait list. You don't have to place a hold on them. You can get them instantly. So what I'm going to do is click on Borrow. It'll do its thing. It automatically defaults to borrowing for 14 days because that is my setting. I'll show you that a little bit later in the video. I could change it to just 7 days if I wanted to, but I'm going to keep it at 14 days. I'm going to click Borrow, and it's going to be checked out to me until February 15th. Another important thing that this lets us know, magazines do not count toward your checkout limit. So if you're still checking out tons of books at the same time that you're browsing through several different magazines, the magazines are not counting against that checkout limit. For me, I have a couple other things already checked out on OverDrive, so I still can only borrow 4 more titles. But again, this magazine checkout is not going to impact that at all. I'm going to close this here. Now there are 2 ways that I can get to my magazine now that I have checked it out. You'll see here where earlier it said borrow, I can now go to loans, or I could click on my shelf over here next to my options. Either way, I'll be able to get there. I'm going to click on go to loans. It'll take it just a moment, but now you can see all of the different magazines that I already have checked out, including Yoga Journal, which I just checked out a moment ago. With OverDrive, you will be reading these in the browser, even if you're using the app. So what I'm going to do is click on Read Now in Browser, and you'll see that it's going to open up in Safari since I am on my iPad. And this is how it looks right off the bat. This is the cover. You'll see that if I just kind of tap on the page, I will bring up a menu where I could kind of slide it over to some other pages if I wanted to, and you'll see the kind of the different topics that pop up here, and I could release, and it's going to take me straight to 3 ways to ease a headache. You don't have to do that. You can just kind of tap from side to side here to flip through the magazine. You have options in the upper right hand corner. You can search if there's a particular article you know is in there and you're kind of searching for that term, you can do that. Unlike in books with chapters, these chapters aren't so much that, chapters 1 through 10 or anything, but these are the different article headlines that are within this yoga magazine. So if you tap on one of those, I can instantly go back to this entry and start looking through it that way as well. And you will see kind of in the bottom left-hand corner that you will see page numbers on this as well, so you can kind of keep up with where you're at. You can zoom in a little bit more if you want to make it bigger right up here at the top. You can click done whenever you're done zooming. You have bookmark options here if you want to bookmark a page or take it off. And you can change how it appears on your screen by tapping this here. This kind of has more of an open book feel to it, although I find that it's a little bit too small. If I tap on this again, it goes back to just one page on my screen at a time, which I find a little bit easier. Still might need to zoom for some things, but again, this is how the magazine is going to look on your device. You do also have the option, if by going back into options here, you can get offline access if you want to download the book or the magazine as it really is, even though this still calls it a book, so that you can access it whenever you're not connected to the internet. So different options that you have. Again, this did open up in the browser, so to get back to OverDrive, I'm going to have to back out of this, go back to my library apps over here, tap on OverDrive, and here it is. Now, just like with your books, you have the option that when you're done with something, let's say, I don't need this Condé Nast Traveler, I'm not going to be traveling anywhere anytime soon, I'm just going to go ahead and tap on return. Are you sure you want to return this title? Sure, I will do it. It updates, and now that edition, I had several editions of Condé Nast Traveler on here, is now gone. So again, this only affects the particular issue of a magazine that you've checked out. If you have 4 copies of Yoga Journal on here, you'll have to go in and return those individually, or just wait until your loan period expires and it'll automatically be removed from your account. One other thing I do want to point out that's kind of changed a little bit here is going into our settings across the top. Again, you're not going to find these in holds, so we're not going to have to go over that. Your general lending periods, you'll see that you have 2 new options in here. Now, I did mention in our intro that eventually videos such as Acorn TV are going to be migrating to OverDrive as well. That's not here just yet, but if you want to change your default lending periods for video options like that, you'll be able to do that here. You can go from 7 days to 14 days. Those are the 2 options. And you have the same thing with magazines. It's not a setting that can't be corrected somewhere else. You saw earlier whenever I was trying to download or check out my first magazine that it asks you there if you want it to be for 14 days, and you do have the option to change it to 7 days. But this is just a setting that you can go and change just so it kind of automatically knows your preferences. Nothing else has really changed. You still have your different content preferences here. Your display options are still there for high contrast or dyslexic font. One brief thing, now that we've kind of looked at magazines in OverDrive, a lot of you that are OverDrive users might also have come across Libby. Or if you typically get your magazines through RB Digital, which is where these have migrated from, you're probably getting a big notification right across the top of your RB Digital screen that all of this has migrated to Libby. Again, OverDrive, Libby, they are both by OverDrive, powered by OverDrive. Libby, unfortunately, is unavailable on Kindle devices, but you can have both OverDrive and Libby on an iPad or an Android tablet. So we know people have their preferences. I've very recently gotten more into Libby. I used to be hardcore OverDrive and I still really like it, but Libby is also something I'm going to briefly show you, even though this video is primarily about OverDrive. I do want you to know that whenever you close out of OverDrive, I'm going to pull Libby up right here. Again, very similar landing page, except for down here at the bottom, there's an option for shelf. So I'm going to tap on shelf. And this shows me as well my magazines that I have checked out. And it doesn't matter if you check it out in Libby or in OverDrive, they're both going to be here. You'll see even the Yoga Journal that I just checked out in OverDrive a moment ago is here. I can open it in Libby. I can manage my loan right here. Same thing, I could return it early if I wanted to. I'm just going to show you, I'm going to open this in Libby, this other magazine. And again, very similar. I can just kind of flip through it. One thing that I think is kind of cool about this one is when an article is pulled up, you can tap on read the article right here, and it kind of brings up another way that's a little bit more font friendly, I think, to read this. So again, if you are a Libby user, you're still going to have access to the same magazines and whatnot that you check out in OverDrive. It's the same thing whenever you're checking out books in either platform. Just unfortunately, Libby is not available to Kindle users. I hope that changes in the future. I just don't have control over that. I think you're going to really enjoy being able to access your magazines using OverDrive or Libby. Again, you do have a little bit more time if you're used to RB Digital to making that transition. They're thinking the end of March 31st is the date which these items will no longer be available on RB Digital, so definitely take some time to become comfortable with OverDrive if you prefer that one, or Libby unless you're a Kindle user. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed learning about these new magazines now available in OverDrive. If you have any questions or run across any issues while trying to access these magazines, please do not hesitate to reach out. We're here to help.